Hi, thank you for joining me for today's pick a card reading. But before I begin, I do want to announce a really huge discount. We were able to make our 100 followers on Twitter. I knew it wouldn't be that hard. But I wanted to go ahead and give a discount for you guys. And so that discount code will take $10 off any of my services. So that includes same day readings, okay? And that's only for the next 10 people who book with me, okay? So that code is my Twitter handle. And so what that is MomentsAre TWT. So let me go ahead and spell that out for you, and I'll display it on the screen too. The coupon code to put in at checkout when you order your reading from me is MomentsAre, and that is one word or one coupon code there, no spaces or anything like that, and that will be going to the next 10 people, okay, that book with me. So get it in there, and I'm looking forward to getting some awesome readings out to you guys. That said, anything else you need to know about me is going to be in the description. We are looking at what are they hiding, okay? So I want to kind of explain that just a little bit before we do the reading. We're not just looking at maybe what they're hiding from you specifically, but also maybe what they're hiding from the world, something that they don't want other people to know. This can get a little dark and get into shadow work with, aspects of their personality that they really don't want people to know. Like, for example, something that might come up is something that they don't really feel like they're very competent in, okay? And then another thing is it might be something that they're hiding specifically from you. But what we're doing is we're just looking at whoever you're thinking about. It's supposed to be a love reading, so I'm going to be referring to the person as if they're your love interest. But basically, we're just looking at whoever you're thinking about, what they're hiding from you, okay? So pick your person, whoever you want to focus on. If you want to focus on more than one, please do 2 different piles, or 3 if you want to focus on 3. Just make sure that you pick a pile for each person, okay? Because otherwise you won't get a clear message for each person and all of that kind of stuff, okay? So that said, let me go ahead and name the piles. So pile number 1 is this purple feather. Pile number 2 is a blue feather. Pile number 3 is the yellow or orange feather, okay? Pile number 4 is a green feather. Pile number 5 is a black feather, and pile number 6 is this red or orange feather, okay? So all of them have the beads that are the same color, except for the purple and this red have the same color beads, so maybe that would be another way to tell them apart, just in case you don't know which one to pick. That said, go ahead and pause the video if you have not chosen a pile yet. Otherwise, we are going to start with the pile number 1, the purple feather. Hi, those of you who picked the purple feather, what is your person hiding from you? Okay. So first off, they're trying not to, they've been in situations before in the past where they have put too much of themselves out there and been taken advantage of. So right now they're trying to get into a position where people aren't as dependent on them, okay? This actually even might be referring to you, okay? I'm not getting that that's going to be true for a lot of you, but just because it feels more like it's a past thing, something they're working on right now. But they are afraid of being taken advantage of. And there's also this aspect with this card that gives me the impression that they also feel like there's something they do, or there's something that they're really good at that people ask them to do, but it's like, it would be something like, let's say you're a musician and you get paid to play at gigs on Friday and Saturday nights, right? And then maybe this person knows a lot of people who want them to play at their birthday parties or their office parties or whatever for free. I feel like it's like something about being taken advantage of possibly in what they do as well, like their work. That's not going to fit for all of you, but just know that this person has really been felt like he or she, sorry, I'm getting a lot of male energy though, I do have to say that, but he or she, gender doesn't matter, but that they're, gosh, they really feel like other people try to get stuff out of them all the time, okay? So be very aware of that and understand if they are overreactionary to anything, any kind of ask, if you ask them for something, just know that that's why, okay? They're trying to not please so many other people so they can at least take care of themselves, okay? So we have humor as being a block, okay? Person is probably a very, very serious person. Okay, we also have longing. Okay, we've got faith and prayer. All right. We have celebration. Okay. Fulfillment. Interesting, the sacral chakra. And then we have patience. Now, patience in this particular deck is the same as temperance. Sorry. I was trying to think of the word and I was like, oh no, what is it? So yeah. So let me see here what I can get from these cards. Okay. So, there's just a lot of things just going on right now. They are actually really afraid that if they open up more about their spiritual side, that they're going to be judged somehow. In some cases, your person might have had a really negative experience with a mainstream religion, and as a result of that, maybe they feel undue guilt and that kind of stuff. But this is mostly going to be that they're hiding that they are a person of faith, or that they're hiding their particular spirituality or religion, okay? Maybe it's something that they feel like you won't accept, or it's something they feel other people won't accept, okay? So this is in their private. Another thing about this is that this person's a private person when it comes to spirituality. So if you're the kind of person that talks a lot about your spirituality and talks a lot about what you believe and that kind of stuff, they might just feel a little thrown off about it. It's not that they don't like it or that they think that you're weird or anything like that. It's that they just don't talk about that stuff. So when they encounter somebody else who does, it just kind of confuses them a little bit. It's like, because they have issues with it, they have their own issues with it that doesn't have anything to do with you. So, one way you might want to connect with this person is by saying, if you do communicate with this person about faith or about what your belief system is to tell them that, you don't usually, or you don't feel comfortable all the time talking about what you believe, and that's something you appreciate about them, that you are able to talk about that with them, and they'll understand what that means because they have issues talking about it, okay? So that would be an opportunity for connection there. This person really, really cares about you, but they don't want to appear weak. They don't want to do to you what they're trying to get rid of in their life, okay? So not only are they trying to make sure they're not being taken advantage of, and they might kind of shun your energy a little bit, just as they're getting used to knowing that you don't need anything from them or want anything from them, that they don't want to give you, basically. You might notice that you feel this pull, especially when you guys aren't together, because I feel like there's a connection here where it's like you're very open to this person's connection, okay? Even if you're typically an introverted person, this might be a situation where you just really open up to this person. It's just like they have that key that opens you up, okay? And so there is this kind of feeling on both sides sometimes of absence, but your person wants to hide that. Your person doesn't want you to know how much they basically they want you. It's like, it's not a, it's, they want your presence, they want you. There's probably a bit about this where they want your body, you know, that kind of thing. But it's more of a heartfelt longing, though, I do have to mention. It's more of a tender-hearted thing. It's something that, okay, I'm getting told to say gooey. It's like a gooey feeling inside. I don't know who that's for, but 1 or 10 or however many of you guys that pick this pile needed to hear the word gooey for some reason. So let's go with that. Yeah, but it feels, it's interesting because it feels like almost an absence when they long for you. I mean, obviously, I mean, if you're not around and they're longing, you know, I get that, but I mean that there's a little place inside of them that you fill up by being around. And so when they feel like you're not going to be around, or when you withdraw your energy from them, they feel that longing for you. They notice when you don't get a hold of them, okay? They might not notice right away, but they notice eventually that something's up, okay? Keep that in mind. So it's interesting how we've got celebration and fulfillment here. Those are emotions that typically show up on the face. Okay, when somebody is excited or when somebody is feeling happy and content, typically you see that in the eyes and the face, where you see the smile, you see bright eyes and that kind of stuff. I feel like this person feels very inhibited when it comes to showing that they're excited about something. This probably has to do with their humor too, and even that they want to, you know, hide, or they're withholding what they believe, you know, and that kind of thing. These all feel like they're very, very connected. And here's why. When we engage in humor, this is going to sound a little bit weird, but just stay with me. When we engage in humor, you know, we laugh, and so we inject this like sound out into the world, right? Sometimes some people have really weird laughs, right? I'm not saying your person has one, although they could, but that's not what I'm saying. But it's like humor is almost an act of putting something out there, right? Celebration and fulfillment, that putting it out there, that celebrating of excitement, that expressing fulfillment, that's all a very projective type energy, right? Where we can read it on somebody's face, you hear the laughter with the faith and prayer, you know, this is something that a lot of people of faith and a lot of people, you know, they might sing, they might celebrate in that case too. It even might be that the celebration is related to what religion they practice, okay? But when we have all of this stuff going on right here, okay, we have this sense that they're holding that in, okay? So your person is probably a very yielding person. They're probably more feminine energy than masculine energy, even though I got that masculine energy at the very beginning. And when I say energy, I just mean that they are more likely to withhold, they're more likely to withdraw, they're more likely to take a step back than they are to project, than they are to go forward, you know, and that they are to take a step forward. That doesn't mean that they won't take a step forward. They have a sense of timing, and they'll definitely do that, but they are very inhibited about that. So especially if your person is a man, you've got to give them enough encouragement that your person feels like they're going to be, like, if they do move forward, that they'll get a positive response, all right? And I really feel like they have that patience until they get that certainty that everything's going to be good. So how you do that is by saying, oh, I love spending time with you. It would be really great to spend more time with you. And then that's it. You know, you just kind of drop it. Like, they know that you want to spend more time with them. So if spending time with this person is something you want, then you can, you know, you can be sure that at least they know that you will say yes, okay? Another example is, like, for example, if this is the person who you work with, you might, and let's say that you want them to apply for a job, right? you might say, oh gosh, I really think that there is a job that we have posted that would be a great fit for you. I understand we're talking most likely about love relationships, but that would be the kind of thing. It's like they need permission to move forward. Okay, keep that in mind. So the sacral chakra, I think this is really interesting. This is the second chakra, okay? So there's the base chakra, which is the base of your spine. And then there's the sacral chakra. And then the solar plexus is right around the belly button, maybe a little bit higher, okay? So we're talking about the area of like the guts, right? And so I just want you to kind of visualize that area and think about, as humans, we are most vulnerable in that area. So I feel like this sacral chakra is coming through as letting us know that, really? I'm supposed to say that. That is crazy. Okay, sometimes I just get these ideas like they pop in my head, and it's like I have to say, I feel compelled to say it, but I don't want to say it. But your person might be holding back that they have a lot of gas, and that is a really weird thing to get. But whatever, I don't even know. Well, what I can tell you is that my partner doesn't have any trouble holding back gas. My goodness. Okay. Back to seriousness, hopefully. So from the sacral chakra, where I was going with that is that your person might feel very vulnerable, like more vulnerable than the average person, okay? Perhaps they're anxious, perhaps they've been in situations, like I said, where they've been taken advantage of a lot, perhaps they're anxious. Wouldn't surprise me if they're anxious, okay? But basically, this sacral chakra coming up lets me know that your person feels a little vulnerable. And so you will see that, and how this shows up is that they'll be guarded. They might appear a little bit cold. And it's interesting because they are not. They have so much joy inside of them to share. They have so much warmth and longing, but they feel really, really vulnerable, okay? So I feel like this last card here, patience, and I know I haven't really talked much about humor, we'll get back to that, but with this patience card, I feel like this is almost your card. Like, this is a person that you've got to be patient with. I feel like on their side, this card just indicates that they like to take their time and really get to know, and they're cautious before they move forward, okay? That's kind of what we've been getting anyway. But I feel like this has a double meaning. This is also telling me to let you guys know, those of you who picked pile number 1, that you're going to have to be patient with this person, okay? Your person will probably move slow, okay? So, humor. Here's something about this. Your person, especially if they're a particularly serious, cautious person who tends to be more, stepping back and that kind of stuff, okay? Your person, it's not that they have a block and that they don't have a sense of humor. It's not that. It's that they're not used to looking at the silly things. They're not used to looking at the brighter things. They're not used to seeing absurdity when it comes up. So they need that pointed out to them, okay? And so the way that you can help your person kind of lighten up, because I really feel like this person needs to lighten up, is by pointing out how ridiculous things are in the world. Talk to them about like all the logical fallacies you see. Just like, just talk about how, just anything absolutely ridiculous. Share your sense of humor with them. Now, I'm not saying to tease them, although that might be very tempting if they're as serious as they're coming through as, but I'm saying, point out to them that things are a little ridiculous, and I really feel like being able to look on that lighter, brighter side, if you are able to see that silver lining, if you're an optimist, that's awesome. Use that, it'll really open them up. It will get them in that place where if you can get them to laugh, if you can get them to project, right? even though they're so withdrawn and they want to kind of hold back, it's almost like it's opening a floodgate, okay? So this is a really good place that you can help your person unblock by getting them to laugh, okay? So keep that in mind. I apologize if I offended anybody with the whole gas thing. I don't know where that came from. But that said, it sounds like, I mean, seriously, it feels to me like your person's a genuinely very good person. I don't get that they're hiding something with bad intent or anything like that. I just get that they are, they'd actually be the kind of person that would be hard for me to read, you know? And of course that would pique my curiosity a lot, because I'd be like, whoa, I want to get to know this person. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like they're a person that really holds a lot back and holds things in, but it's not because they never open up, it's because they need to know they're safe to open up, okay? So that's it. Also, really remember, they might overreact if they think they might be taken advantage of, okay? Just know that. So if you do see your person overreacting, that's where that's probably coming from, okay? I hope you enjoyed your reading. If you did, go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I always love new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll have another video posted tomorrow. All right. Hi, those of you who picked the second pile, the blue feather, here is your reading. Okay, so we have truth. We have, okay, interesting, mental conflict. Okay, the 6 of gems, generosity. Okay, this would be the same as the 6 of pentacles. We have the 4 of wings, privacy. Okay. Insecurity. Wisdom. A leap of faith. Failure. Okay. And surrender to what is. Okay. So your person has a few things going on. This is a very... sometimes I try to summarize the readings in like one word to kind of like give you guys like something to focus on. And I would say that this is a very human reading as far as what this person's quote-unquote hiding, what their secrets are. So I'm just trying to figure out where to begin here. I'm going to just go ahead and jump around, okay? Because that's what I'm feeling led to do. So surrender to what is and truth. I feel like your person spends a lot of time living in a sort of fantasy world or trying to anticipate what's going to happen next. So they're not really living in the present. I don't feel like they're thinking so much about the past. Not that they can't. I mean, they can. But I feel like they're always looking at what could be or what maybe should be. But mostly what could be, what is going to happen next. They're constantly trying to be prepared, okay? And so because they're constantly trying to be prepared, they're constantly looking ahead, they might miss some very simple truths that somebody who's more anchored in the moment would be able to see. So there's going to be some things that your person's just going to be so blind to, it's almost going to be ridiculous. Your person's the kind of person that if they're looking for, I'm just going to pick mustard. I'm just picking that, okay, in their fridge. And they open up the door and it is right there in the center, they will totally miss it because they're assuming that it's got to be hidden. They're assuming that they've got to really work hard to find it, and they might even just decide they're out of mustard and go to the store and buy a new thing of mustard and then come back and put that, you know, in some hidey place and still not see that mustard that was right in the middle was right there, okay? Like, they are almost dumb when it comes to, like, sensing reality, okay? And I'm not saying that they're not connected to reality. There's a big difference there. I would say even your person's probably very pragmatic. It's just that they might give off the absent-minded, you know, vibe when it's really that they're just so preoccupied with with something that's going to happen in the future, that they're not anchoring into the now. Okay, so when I say truth, this isn't coming up as saying they don't, maybe they're a liar or something like. No, this is somebody who's looking for the truth in something that's kind of far out there, instead of looking for it right there where they are. Okay, so that then is what causes some conflict inside of their minds, because they're constantly trying to anticipate what's going to happen next. And when you try to control that much stuff, like your entire future like that, you're just not going to be able to. It is not possible. I mean, and that's even coming from somebody who, like, I look at the future for a living, it's not possible to be able to anticipate everything. It's not even possible to be able to anticipate most of things, you're really lucky if you get like 10% right? So it's like the world, while it is being ordered right now by as many people who can try to order it, like governments and that kind of stuff, is complete chaos, right? So of course your person's going to have a whole lot of conflict about, well, should I do this or should I do that? Should I do this or should I do that? They spend so much energy and so much time looking at the what ifs that they get overtired and they have to withdraw with the four of wings. That would be the same as the Four of Swords, and they'll need time to just process everything. Okay. Oh, another thing about this kind of energy, this is the kind of person who would also like plan conversations like in the shower, that kind of thing. Like your person, if it's like in the morning right now where you're watching it, this video, your person is probably right now in the shower planning what they're going to say to you next. Okay, because like this is just the kind of energy that I have. Now, one thing that they feel is kind of like a weakness about themselves, that they don't really want people to know that much, that they do, is that they tend to be over generous with their money and their time and their energy with other people, and that's what causes them to need to just fall back and rest so much. So if you can help them plan ahead, because this is just what's going on. This is what they don't want people to know, that they're constantly trying to do this, and we're going to get to why in just a minute. But if you can help them plan ahead, then you are giving them energy, and it's probably not that hard for you. And again, you probably will see things that they don't even see, because they're just not in the present moment. So they need to be reminded that the present moment exists. This would be something like, ooh, I like this song. Let's just sit here and listen to this song. Let's just listen to this song. Your person will have a hard time only listening to a song, but if you just keep saying, let's do this one thing, your person will start living more in the now, and they'll be able to enjoy it. So here's the reason why your person has this issue come up. Is because they are so afraid of getting something wrong. They don't believe in themselves enough to be able to anticipate that they are able to naturally do the right thing. I don't mean the right thing morally. I mean the right thing that's going to, let's say, advance their position. Okay, so this is going to be anything from maybe they don't work very well under pressure, like at work, and maybe because of that they might feel like it's really hard for them to get ahead or get a raise or something like that. And so they're constantly like trying to figure out how they can be better about that. And it's because they're so insecure and everything. And it's like the worst thing to them is to try to do something and fail at it, okay? They want to be a winner, okay? So, consider reinforcing that. Just tell them like, oh gosh, you did such a good job with this thing. And even if they come back with you, well, yeah, but I didn't do very good at this one, aspect of it, just be like, whatever, like many people couldn't do that, that kind of thing. Just reinforce to your person over and over that they are succeeding, and they'll start believing it. And this insecurity, while they might feel insecure in general, they will stop feeling so insecure around you personally. And when you can create that safe space for them, then this stuff will drop away and they won't be so anxious, at least when they're around you. And when they're not as anxious around you, then you become their safe place. You become their safe haven. Okay? So, wisdom, why is this coming up, right? The reason this is coming up is because this is something that your person could really, really benefit from. So let me tell you my definition of wisdom and what I mean here. So when you learn how to do something new, or when you're learning something new, let's say in school, like you've never learned chemistry before and you take your first chemistry test, or you've never learned Spanish and you take a Spanish class or something like that, you acquire knowledge, okay? So anytime you read a new book or anytime you take up a new skill, you gain this knowledge to do that skill or to be proficient in that, right? Wisdom is the application of that knowledge, okay? Your person, now I'm not saying that they don't have the ability to apply knowledge. They do. What could really work for them though and bring down this insecurity, not make them feel like so apprehensive about getting something wrong, is if they were able to retain enough knowledge to be able to make wise decisions rather than decisions based on fear, or decisions based on I might fail, or decisions based on I'm insecure, I need to prove myself, okay? So when you're talking to them and they talk about like this new idea they have or this thing that they're going to do, insert that word. Do you think that's a wise choice? Or do you think, or ooh, that sounds like an unwise decision, that kind of thing? Like when you talk about other people can be unwise. Don't tell your person they're unwise, because they've got enough issues there. Talk to them about, oh, you made a wise choice, and make that a key word. So your person kind of starts thinking about, what does wisdom mean? Because when they know they have wisdom, when they know that they've retained that knowledge, then they'll know they don't have to anticipate so much stuff because they have that wisdom already. And just all they have to do is keep applying exactly what they're doing, and they're doing enough already, okay? So leap of faith. The thing that they need the most from you is to know you believe in them, and you believe that they are going to be successful. You believe that and I don't mean successful like wealthy or anything like that, although they might be, I don't know. What I'm saying is believe that they can succeed in whatever they do. Believe that they are totally secure. Treat them as if they are the most secure person ever. Just like, gosh, it's just so nice to be around somebody who knows that their strengths, that kind of stuff. You reinforce the concept of being a success and that kind of stuff, so that they can start believing that, okay? Because for now, that's a leap of faith for them. It's really, really hard to trust that. But if you give that to them, if you reinforce to them that they can be wise, if you reinforce to them that you see them succeeding, then that won't be so much of a leap of faith. I just want to go back to this card right here, because this is the only thing that's kind of like a little off, compared to everything else. It just feels like it sits on its own. And I just want to reiterate, in case I didn't enough when I talked about it before. Your person's the kind of person that, like if they had $50 and that was all they had, and they could choose between helping one of their friends out or buying themselves lunch, and putting gas in their car, or petrol if you're from one of those areas, they're the kind of person that would help their friend out and just figure out a way to get gas in their car and get home somehow. It's like they care so much about other people that they would suffer for the cause of other people. So understand that can sometimes be a weak point from them, okay? When it comes to this kind of issue, this is a pretty typical issue for a lot of people. If you're thinking, this kind of sounds like myself, it might just be that that you and this person just share that, and that's why it feels like it might be about you. It really is about whoever you were thinking of. But just know, and just be sensitive to the idea that they, really need to be told that they're a good person, that what they're doing is great, that kind of thing. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this reading with me. I hope you got a lot out of it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I would love that. It really helps me know that I'm doing a good job, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hi, those of you who picked this yellow feather, I'm going to call it yellow. Okay, see, it's yellow. It's not orange, right? Okay, those of you who picked the yellow feather, here is your reading. Okay, surrender your addictions. Interesting. Acceptance, vulnerability. Okay, instinct, joy, sorrow, triumph, conflict, and defeat. Interesting. And the throat chakra. Your person has a big problem expressing themselves. They might have an issue with addiction, but I feel like the addiction... How do I say this? Okay, your person might actually have issues with addiction, okay? Maybe they're addicted to nicotine or coffee, or maybe they are addicted to, illegal drugs, prescriptions, or alcohol or something like that, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat that in any way. I wouldn't anyway, but I'm not saying that your person doesn't have that, okay? But I'm saying that if that doesn't seem to fit for your person, I feel like instead of addiction, consider this like maybe some kind of mental disturbance or mental disability here, where they have issues thinking clearly sometimes, and it can come up as moodiness, okay? They hate that when that happens, and they cannot control it, okay? They feel like they can, okay? This person needs some kind of help in order for them to function, okay? If they're an addict, obviously they need to get help for their addiction. But if they're, what I believe is the majority of those of you who pick this pile, if they have some mental disturbance, and that means like, maybe they're not neurotypical and they have, ADHD, or they have, they're on the autism spectrum, or maybe they have a mood disorder, or maybe, they have a psychotic disorder or something like that. If that's what the person is, then they need help, okay? So I think a really big thing about them that is important for you to know is that it's almost like they've accepted that they need help. So if your person is somebody with a mental disorder who, let's say they take medicine, right? They're very, very vulnerable to the idea that they might be judged for taking medicine. Because, yeah, especially, I'm sorry, I'm hearing, sometimes I get like, I hear things, or things pop into my head. It's hard to explain. Sometimes it's claircognizance and sometimes it's clairaudience, but, yeah, what I'm getting is that your person really feels vulnerable. Okay, where's the vulnerable card? Did we get the... Yeah, vulnerable. Your person feels really vulnerable. They have issues talking about it. This kind of mental conflict that they have, okay? And they just... It's like... It's so important for you to know that they're not one of the people... Because this is what they're afraid of, you thinking. They're afraid that you're going to think that they're over-medicated, or that they shouldn't take medication for that. Like, they should somehow be able to figure it out on their own. Or, like, they're not, I don't know, like, they're just not good enough somehow because of this thing that they have tried their whole lives to manage. And they finally got to a point where they were able to accept that, and like take medicine, or they're able to accept that they need help with whatever addiction they have, but maybe they haven't taken that help yet, or maybe they accept that they need to take medicine and they're about to, that kind of thing. That it's so important for their stability and their sense of, okay, I'm also getting, some of you guys this might be a person who has an addiction because they're self-medicating for something that's really some kind of mental illness, okay? But it's like they've worked so hard on themselves and tried for so long to get right that they feel like however they've learned how to cope with that, it like might make you think that they're weak somehow, okay? So that's why we have sorrow, joy, triumph, conflict, and defeat, right? We have instinct and acceptance, right? And we have a block with the throat chakra. We have the vulnerability. All of this points to this person has a lot of highs and lows. This person has worked a lot to experience the joy that they experience. They are a very intuitive person, which makes it even harder for them because sometimes they don't know if their intuition is part of their addiction or mental state, or if it's true intuition, right? So there's that. They just want to be accepted for who they are. They want somebody to know who they are. They want to communicate that. They want to express that. They want somebody to be able to accept them. And it's almost like they walk around daring people to accept them for who they are. I'm just getting another thing with this, and I'm so sorry that I overlooked this, but I personally don't think about this as a mental disorder, or an addiction or anything like that. But I just realized that I'm also getting energy surrounding the LGBTQ community. So your person might be, might have, maybe they're not heterosexual, for example. And they are going through something that has to do with that, and they think that that's messed up about them, or that you would judge them for that. Okay, I'm so sorry I didn't mention that, but I didn't get it until I took my hand away and started touching this acceptance card, and I was like, oh my goodness, because I just don't think about that as a mental disorder at all. I mean, I feel like that's completely different, but I can see how it would cause mental anguish and all of that too. So I get that too. But it's like they just want to be accepted, and it's like I said before, it's like they're walking around daring people to accept it. But as they've gone through this, they've been conflicted in their life. They've been feeling this almost like they're forcing two puzzle pieces together that don't fit about their identity, okay, about their issues, whatever their issue is. And they feel completely, they've gone through times in their lives where they've just had the lowest lows because of this. I mean, it's almost like they hit rock bottom, and then they found out that rock bottom had a hole in it, and they felt, it's just so much pain, so much sorrow, yes. But they have also been able to overcome that, and they are working on their self-expression, and they just need to just be accepted for who they are. So basically, the worst thing you could do for this person is not accept them. Okay, they need to be accepted. They need to know, you know what? I like you the way you are. I don't need you to change. I want you to be 100% you. You might notice that your person has issues thinking that other people want to change them. Okay, you might notice them saying phrases like, well, I can't change who I am, or something like that. That's when they get defensive, okay? And I just want to get back to the question, which is, what is your person hiding? They hide how much struggle they have. Sometimes they hide this from people because they've had so much struggle with it. That's what they're hiding. It's like their secret, and this is what weighs them down. This is always playing in the back of their mind. If you can be that person that accepts them for who they are, they can shut off the back of their mind, and the amount of energy it takes for them to just, it's like the amount of energy that it takes for them to get up in the morning, or to just go out sometimes. It's just so, I mean, I mean, we're talking about something that if it would be the equivalent of the amount of energy it would take you, or let's say a typical person. Um, I really don't want to say that they're not typical. I don't want to even use words like that but it's like, maybe I'm gonna use the word boring, okay? Just know that I'm just not talking about your person. The kind of energy it would take a boring person in order to use would be like the equivalent of all the energy they spend their entire week doing all the things they have to do, okay? That amount of energy is what they have to summon sometimes to get out of bed, okay? So understand that this is a huge thing in their life. And if they don't have to spend that much energy worrying about that and thinking about that, just think about how much lighter they'll feel just when they're around you, because they know that you accept them. And it might even, for some of you, be something that you're going to have to bend on. You might be the kind of person that thinks, well, shouldn't they be able to take care of this on their own? Or I don't understand why they would have a problem with their identity or who they are or whatever. It's like, they don't need you to understand it. They don't need that. They just need you to accept that that's their truth, right? And so this vulnerability is that they're constantly feeling vulnerable. And here's something that's not mentioned in the cards, but it's just so obvious, that I need to throw it in, is that one of the things they do, because they're spending so much energy hiding this, is that they'll try to compensate for it. So they'll try to appear better than they are. They will put so much energy. You might even notice, especially if they're a performer. I'm getting that some of you guys, this might actually be a performer, somebody who has to speak in front of people a lot or spend time with people a lot, like lots of people, that kind of thing. That they overcompensate by, they try to they might talk about their lives or talk about what they do, and they might kind of, like, you might notice that they're boosting their ego up really, really high, like, oh yeah, I'm so good at that, yeah, I totally did that, or they might be the kind of person that drops names, like, yeah, I totally met that really cool person, it's just, I feel like this person feels like they have to compensate so much, and it's like they're not even consciously aware that they're doing that, but it's just they want to exude anything but vulnerability, okay? So yeah, that's what your person's afraid of, that's what your person doesn't like about themselves. This is your key. This is your key to getting your person just so pumped up about you. And chances are, given the kinds of people who watch these readings and all of that, chances are you do accept them. Maybe you don't know how bad it is, let's say, or how deep it goes. But chances are you do accept them anyway. But it's so important to this person. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I know that was a kind of intense reading, but I knew this topic would be intense, and I do have to admit that I got a little emotional as I was reading this, just because I have had issues with this particular thing myself. I have a mental disorder, and I do take medicine for it. I'm not proud that I take medicine for it. I would give anything to be able to just exercise a little bit more and have it, be great. Or if I spent more time in the sun, or if I tried taking melatonin, at night to help me sleep, or just, if there was something more natural or something like that I could do, I would totally do it. And believe me, I've probably tried hundreds of times. So I'm very sensitive to this kind of topic. And one of my family members is in the LGBTQ community, so I'm also sensitive to that topic. I am not as familiar with addiction, but I do know some people that are very familiar with it, and I, of course, dealt with that when I was working as a psychologist, and so I'm also very sensitive to that. So just being in that energy really did affect me emotionally, and so I just wanted to kind of explain, I was just identifying a lot with your person, and I mean, I feel like another aspect of this whole thing, and I could be projecting, okay? This is just as a friend. This is not as a reader. Just another thing that they might need to know is that that they are an incredible person, that they are able to do so much, you know, and that you really admire that they are able to work through whatever it is their issue is, you know, that despite their diagnosis, that they're still able to do what they do, you know, because it really, they do put a lot of energy in being normal, basically, is the best word I can think of, you know, being, as I said, boring. They just want to be a boring everyday person. They don't want to be interesting. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this reading, please like, subscribe. That always means so much to me. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And thank you so much for joining me. Hi, those of you who picked the green feather, here is your reading. Ooh, surrender stress. Okay. Abundance. Interesting. This is let me just kind of explain this before I start reading them. Surrender stress. This is what they're trying to get rid of. Okay, so your person's probably really stressed out. Abundance. This is their block. So they're having trouble with. They might be in, like, for example, they might be in scarcity consciousness. They might be a person who is in the hole a lot financially, you know, that kind of thing. Or maybe they feel like they don't have enough all the time. This could be a person who is like a multimillionaire too, but just somebody who feels like they don't have enough, okay? Integrity, okay? Discovery, growth. Okay, Six of Wings, passage. That is a very interesting card to get. We also have passion, okay? Shadow. I love this card. And heart chakra. Wow. This is an interesting one. You know, at first I was looking at this and I was like, okay, that's pretty run of the mill. But now that I'm looking at the whole picture, your person's interesting. For whatever reason you have for asking about this person, I can tell why you wanted to know. Okay. Let me just get with this first, because I think it's just, you know, I've already kind of gone into it. So your person's been under a lot of stress lately, and by lately I mean probably the last 6 months or more. It's gotten to a point where stress has become their norm, and they don't like that, and it's like they just need something good to happen. I would say that your person probably feels like they're one of the most unlucky people on the planet at times. Just because they just, it seems like right when, like, they can't get ahead. It's like right when they get to that point where they're making progress in whatever area they have issues with, okay? Because it's going to be different for each one of you guys. What area your person has issues with. It's just then they get pulled back by something that they have to take care of. And I see this a lot of people, well, I see this a lot with people who have financial issues that, it's like they don't even have any kind of circumstances that are aggravating circumstances. They could be a white male, for example, born into a very a middle class or upper middle class family, right? With some education and all of that, and yet they're still struggling to pay their bills, and they're 40 years old, right? So it's like I feel like this is just the kind of person that, you know, finally when they can afford to start living a little bit less tight, then maybe their car breaks down, they have to replace it. You know, it's like that. It's like just really unlucky stuff, not necessarily anything, like nothing that they would bring upon themselves or nothing that they were born into. You know, and I'm not saying that the people who are born into this kind of situation, that your person's not that, but I'm just saying, even if your person looks good on paper like that, they're probably still going through this kind of stress, okay? So I just wanted to make sure that you understood that I wasn't saying that your person can't be a person of color or anything like that. I mean, look at my hands. I'm a person of color. So, yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I'm just adjusting my seat. I know it makes a weird squeaky sound. So yeah, so your person's just got a lot of stress. And it has to do with not having enough, or not feeling like they have enough, or not feeling like they can get enough slack. Okay, so their block right now is being able to draw that positive energy to them. Okay, and you know, based on that, that lets me know why the Six of Wings would come up. This would be the equivalent of the Six of Swords. Passage. It's like they're trying to get to that next place where they are not in a negative space. Okay, that's it. So that's what this passage means. The Six of Swords is about well, yes, it's about passage, yes, but it's also about the swords represent thoughts, okay, and they represent negative thoughts in this particular card, and this is about passing through the place where one is thinking negatively, and get into that place where they don't have that stress anymore. Okay, so these three cards really go together. Now, another thing that goes together is the discovery and growth. You can't go from one point A to point B and let go of stress and let go of negative thinking without having some personal growth going on. So your person is actively growing as a person right now. Okay, they're growing as a human being. So this is another thing that they're going through, which also might be, they might be also getting growing pains from that, okay? They're very embarrassed about this. They feel as though they shouldn't be in this situation, okay? And sometimes they get really down on themselves, like thinking that they brought something on themselves. And when they do that, what they'll do is withdraw. And you might think, well, is my person mad at me? Is my person not liking me anymore or something like that? Or does my person have a problem with me? They don't have a problem with you. They have a problem with themselves, and they don't want you to know it. That's what happens when that dynamic hits. So keep that in mind. Also understand, they're growing, they're under stress, they need more rest, they need more nutrition, they need more downtime, and all of that. When somebody's in under a lot of stress like that, they're gonna need that. And so those growing pains are gonna just need tending to, right? So they need more self-care. Through this, though, they're discovering that they can be an effective person. They're discovering that they're really stepping into their power. So on the other side is that they are going through a positive journey, but this journey right here is something that they're just really, really embarrassed about. Now let's look at this, because this is really interesting to me. This is a completely different story, but they're both equally true, okay? They're both important to know. But this, your person, how else do I put it? Your person's like in love with you. They want to be with you physically. You make them feel alive. You make them feel like they just want to be with you constantly. Their heart is wide open. They want to hear from you. Like, it's almost like they can't hear enough from you. But they want to hear from you happy things, good things that make them feel like they're a really, really great person. They're so cool and all of that. They will not lie to you. This card's coming up because okay, let me rephrase that. They won't, they're a very morally upright person when it comes to the truth, and they will say things with integrity, with sincerity. They will not just outright lie, okay? If you ask them something directly to their face, and they don't feel like answering it, they might not say something, or they might just skirt the issue. For example, if you ask them, I'm just going to pretend like you're saying an embarrassing question. I'm not even going to try to think of an embarrassing question. You ask them an embarrassing question, they might be like, why do you want to know that? They might throw it back at you, but it's like, if they can help it, they will not lie to you. So sometimes when you ask them a question, they're quiet about it. It's not because they don't like the question, or that they're trying to get you to be quiet, or they're trying to give you like some kind of subtle hint that they don't want to talk to you. This person does not get subtlety, and this person doesn't throw it either, okay? This person is not trained in that art of subtlety. They're not going to be subtle with you. They're just not going to say anything because they want you to figure it out for yourself. They don't want to admit that they're in love with you. I don't know why. It's probably going to be as different for each and every one of my viewers as it is for each one of your people. But they don't want you to know just how in love they are with you. They don't want you to know how bad they want you, how much they think about you, and fantasize about you, most likely. They just don't want you to know. That is still part of them, that for whatever reason they find that unacceptable about themselves right now, but they are confronting it. Given that they're about to, they're actively going through this journey where they're about to release some stress, This is going to be the next thing coming, okay? So some of you guys might see that your person's already kind of moved through this area already. So if you're the kind of person that it's like your person has even like, oh yeah, and then they recently just got a job and they're in a better place, or they recently, completed a project and now they don't have to worry about it or something like that, then know that this is where you're headed next. If you're at this place where your person's still really stressed out, they're going through growing pains, that kind of stuff, just know that this is coming. This is probably actually going on at the same time. It's just that they're not ready to face this yet, and this will be their next journey. Okay. So this is a really interesting reading. I really like this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed your reading. And if you did, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I have more readings coming. The next one will be tomorrow even. And thank you again for watching and for supporting me. Hi guys, those of you who picked the 5th pile, the black feather. I had to put on a sweater, that's why I have yellow sleeves now. I got cold in my house, and it's like the middle of summer, right? At least in the northern hemisphere it is. So, whatever. Alright, here's your reading. So we have here. We have surrender your desire to control people. Okay, so your person might be... Oh, okay, I see. Blame, mastery, balance, guilt, reevaluation, 10 of gems, protection, rejoice and celebration, and stand your ground. Yeah. Now... This doesn't happen all the time, sometimes I get a reading that's just, it has a lot of negativity with it, and this is one of those readings. So I just want to go ahead and tell you guys up front that your person has some issues that might sound really harsh, okay? I'm not saying that your person's a bad person. I'm just saying that the issues they have will sound bad, okay? Understand this is what they try to keep hidden, though. This is the stuff that they don't like people to know about them. So you do have to understand that, like, if you were to have some of the same kinds of streaks in you, you'd probably not want people to know about it too. All right. So do keep that in mind. All right. So your person is somebody who really, it's almost like they have to be right. They hate being wrong. And, they would be the kind of person that in order to prove that they're right, they might even be prone to exaggeration, because they try to control other people's reactions. They try to control, this says surrender your need to control people. It's like they have issues with wanting to control other people's reactions to them, not control people. Like, they don't want to force people to do certain things. They're not manipulative. I would not call this person manipulative at all. They just feel like they want people to respond to them in certain ways, okay? And if they feel like somebody is rejecting them, they might try to act in a way that is different from what they think you're rejecting about them, okay? Or if they see somebody not liking something about them, they might exaggerate a positive quality to kind of distract you from them, okay? So, from that quality, okay? So that's something that they have issues with. Why? It's because they have a guilty conscience. Now, their guilty conscience isn't because they've done something bad. It's because they've been told their whole life, or when they were a child, most likely, they were told by a caretaker that they weren't good enough, that they weren't, that if something went wrong, it was their fault. Whoever, like your person, there was someone that your person was close to when they were younger. Or for those of you who are students, it actually might be somebody that they're in a relationship with now, like one of their parents, something like that, or maybe an older brother or sister. I'm getting that it's probably somebody who is older, okay, that blame them for a lot, like, oh, it's this person's fault, or whatever. And because of that, they try to they try to get people to see them in a more positive light than whatever they think that person sees them of. So even if you see this person as the most awesome person in the world, they'll still try to be more awesome than that. Okay. What they need to do is balance that and understand that this guilt they carry around with them, they felt guilty about somebody else's unhealthy behavior, not because they actually were. They weren't a bad person. There was nothing that they could do to actually control their caretakers or whoever this person was. There was nothing that your person could do to actually control that person's reaction, but your person is still trying to control reactions because whether it was physical or just psychological abuse, what they went through, they felt they had, in order to survive, they had to show that they were, they had to like overcompensate and show that they were better than whatever that person thought they were. Okay, so your person feels a need to prove that they're good. Okay, they want to come across as having it together, being just really top notch at everything they do. They want to come across as somebody who is like a champion, somebody who has really got a lot to celebrate in their life. You know, they want, it's almost like they're trying to outrun their past and become more outwardly, to just kind of exuberate it, to show other people that they were able to achieve something even though they went through this horrible past. Okay. Again, like I said, with the protection card, part of this is because it was survival for them. Okay, this was a survival skill that they learned as a very small child, and it was something, or as when they were younger, and it's something that they know, like at that time, if they didn't do that, they felt like they were in danger. Okay, so do understand that they did that for their own protection. This reevaluation thing here, though, does let me know that they think about this. They think about their past, and they try to work through this. They're in the act of doing that. Because not only do they want to get mastery over everything, you know, in their life, because they want to prove themselves and everything, they also want to get mastery over all of this yucky feeling that they have. And they want to get mastery over this kind of compulsion to put forth a certain ego attitude that they are so much better than, you know, what they are. They might seem like maybe larger than life, or they might seem like somebody who couldn't possibly be what they seem, you know, or something like that. It's like they might say something about themselves and it might sound like unbelievable, right? But the reason it sounds unbelievable isn't necessarily because they're lying, because I'm not getting this person lies. It's just because they're trying to prove something by saying it. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell you a story about themselves so that you'll believe that they're good. And it might not hit right, because it might be like, well, wait a minute, how could that be true? Because it's not what they're saying that they're trying to convince you of. They're trying to convince you that this is an achievement for them and that means that they're a good person. So, for example, they might say, you know, my salary is $250,000 a year. And you might be like, what? How could you make that much money? What do you do again? You know, that kind of thing. They actually might make $250,000 a year. But it's just because they're trying to tell you that as a way to like prove that they are worthy of that salary, for example. And I mean, obviously, for some of you guys, maybe $250,000 a year isn't a whole lot, but to me it is. So just please understand, it's all relative. But you know, your person might feel like they have to basically be selling themselves constantly, or like selling an idea to you. And that can make them come across as either manipulative or as maybe not being completely honest. But what's really weird about this is that your person actually is not manipulative and they're actually very honest. They just want you to think a certain way about them. And if they think that you don't think that way about them, then they'll like try to convince you. And in trying to convince you, they'll sound like they're not being sincere. And it's interesting because it's like I said, it sounds bad. Like, ooh, this person wants to control people. But it's like, it's so not like in a like terrible way. It's just they want people to like them. That's it. They just want to be liked. They don't want to be made to feel like they don't want to cause any problems for anybody. They don't want to be the person to blame for anything negative happening. They don't want to feel like, oh gosh, what did I do this time? That kind of thing. They want to feel like they're a good person. And as a result, that's why that's what they're trying to create in their life, because they had a lack of that before, and now they feel like they have some control, and so they can try to create that. But yeah, so that's where they're coming from. No, the whole stand your ground, I feel like this is like separate from this whole thing. I feel like this is something to let you know that if your person starts repeating themselves a lot, if they begin to maybe seem stubborn about an issue that doesn't seem like a big deal to you, or if they seem like they're really specifically trying to sell a certain point, they think you're not listening to them, and it's possible that you're not. Okay, because this is the kind of person that they'll want to tell you something and they'll want you to believe it, and if they think that you don't believe it, they'll keep trying to convince you. So if you notice this person repeating themselves a lot and trying to get you to understand something, or if you think that they're quote unquote making a big deal about something that's small, right? This is something that's very, very important to you. And it would be, if you want this person on your good side and you want to be getting along with this person and, letting them know they don't have to do that for you. They don't have to do that for anyone. They're enough. They have nothing to feel guilty about. They're not going to be blamed for anything anymore. They are protected, that kind of stuff. If you want your person to feel this way, all you have to do is make sure you're listening. And when they start repeating themselves, just be like, wait a minute, I want to make sure that I understand this, because I can tell it's really important to you. When they start repeating, say, I can tell this is a really important subject to you. And then say back to them what you think they're saying. And if you say it the way that they want you to know it, then they'll be reassured that you get it. If you say it in a way back to them where there's some misunderstanding, they'll be able to be like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this. And just keep repeating it back to them in a way without being like annoying, keep saying it back to them in your own words so that you guys can reach a point where you both understand this, because they'll talk about one issue that might seem so silly over and over and over again until they hear that you can understand that. Because and this also comes from feeling like they're not understood too. Because they spent so much time being blamed for things they didn't do. All right. So yeah, again, this person's a good person. They just have been misunderstood their whole lives, basically, or for a great amount of their lives, and they really they care about what people think about them, but not like, gosh, why do you care so much about what other people think? Like, not in a way like that. They care because for them, that's survival. That, like, at one point in time, they really felt like if they weren't able to control what other people thought about them, they could be in big, big trouble or in a lot of pain, that kind of thing. So do understand it's a survival response. When they feel like people think something about them that's not true, they will almost go over the top. Like they might act really, really disproportionate to what's going on. It's because this is what's hidden there. This is the issue that they have, that maybe they can't particularly articulate, or maybe they don't want to articulate, because of course they don't want you to think that they're a bad person. They don't want to tell you, yeah, well, this person told me all my life that I was bad. So, they don't want you to think that. They want you to think they're great. So just keep that in mind. This is actually a very, compared to all the other ones, this is actually the easiest one to take care of. This is a simple fix. So even if it seemed like it was really, really negative, it is a simple fix, so keep that in mind. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading. If you enjoyed the reading, go ahead and, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. It just helps me know that I'm doing a good job, and that support really means a lot to me. Thank you so much, and I will see you at our next reading. The next one will be tomorrow, too, so be looking out for that one. Hi, those of you who picked the red feather, or maybe it's orange to you. And yes, I had to put on a sweater eventually, because I ended up getting really cold. Don't know why. It's the middle of summer here in the northern hemisphere. There shouldn't be a good reason that I'm cold, but I felt cold. So anyway, here is your reading. Oh, this is nice. This is an easy one. Surrender the idea you can fix someone. Self-esteem. Interference. Yeah. Confusion. Complacency. Introspection. The Hermit card. Your person might be a Virgo. That's associated with Virgo. And the Hierophant. I believe that this might be associated with Taurus. I'm not certain though, okay? It feels like it is. Okay. We have got so many major arcana cards. We also have awareness. This would be the equivalent of the Magician, associated with Aries. Okay, so we've got all the signs here, so never even mind it. But yeah, so we've got that, although it's awareness in this particular case. And then we have the waiting game. So this is they're waiting for something to happen. This isn't you have to wait for them. This is more about them waiting, them spending a lot of time waiting for something to happen, okay? So here's the deal. There have been a lot of times where first off, your person is not the most feeling-oriented person, okay? I just want to say that up front. Your person probably does not understand a whole lot. Let me rephrase that. They might be an emotional person, but they don't have a whole lot of emotional intelligence. By that I mean they don't spend a lot of time reflecting on their emotions, okay? They don't spend a whole lot of time evaluating exactly what it is that they're feeling at any given time. They're the kind of people that would be very, very, they're good at simplifying down things to sad, mad, happy, hungry, that kind of stuff, right? And instead of saying nostalgic, they might say sad. Instead of saying grief-stricken, they might say sad, right? So a lot of different kinds of emotions can be summarized in one word that they might use to mean a lot of different kinds of different emotions, right? So just be aware that that's just one way that it manifests too. It could manifest in other ways too, but it's just your person doesn't have a whole lot of awareness of their own emotional states, okay? That's not to say they're not emotional. It just means that they are not aware of it in the point where they can express themselves well. So if you happen to see this person get emotionally agitated, they're most likely afterwards, if you ask them about it, so what was that about? They're most likely going to tell you that they weren't feeling anything, that they weren't upset, or that they weren't, whatever. And it's not because that they actually weren't. It's not because they're trying to gaslight you. It's not that. It's because they just aren't aware enough of their emotions to be able to express that to you. Now that I've said all of that, let's get to the reading because it's just really important to understand that first so that you can understand the context for this issue here that they have issues with. So, surrender the idea you can fix someone. Here's the deal. Because they lack emotional awareness of themselves and that emotional nuance, when you go to this person with your own emotional stuff that you want to process, or just telling them, hey, this thing happened and I felt bad about it, or whatever, they see that as a problem to fix. They see it as an object, not as a human, right? And let me explain that. Let's say your best friend hurt your feelings, okay? And you tell them, my best friend really, really hurt my feelings. They might come back with, well, why are you friends with them? Then just don't be friends with them. It's because they don't see that person as a human. They see that person more as an object, right? Unless they're really good friends with them too. Like, they're most likely to see other people as objects rather than emotions, to personalize people. This is not like because they're like a psychopath or anything. It's just the way that they think, okay? So you will notice that they will try to fix your emotions rather than respond to your emotions. So one of the things that you can do that will really help this person understand where you're coming from is say first, I don't need you to fix it. If that's true. I don't need you to fix this. I just want to tell you that I feel this thing, and that's it. I'm okay with feeling that, or I'm sure it's going to pass, but I just feel this way and just needed you to know that. Just wanted to share. Was there ever a time where you felt this way, that kind of thing. That way they are distracted from trying to fix something, because that is the first thing they look at when they have any emotions, is that there's something that needs to be fixed. So they haven't had a whole lot of positive experiences with their emotions, and because of that, they know it's a weakness and they don't like it, and so they try not to show those emotions, right? Sometimes they feel really complex emotions and they get confused about this because they live a lot in their head. So what you'll notice is that when they are feeling bad, when they are feeling upset, they will most likely turn inwards and they will be negative on themselves, down on themselves. They might turn into the kind of person that really it's kind of difficult, and that you can ask them like a question and they'll like refuse to answer. It's like they're just having this like internal temper tantrum, that kind of stuff. It's because they're confused about what they're feeling. They don't know what they're feeling and all of that. So one of the things you can do when you are in a situation with this person. Oh, I'm so sorry. I had to sneeze and I was really embarrassed to sneeze on camera. Okay, so what you can do when you see them being a little bit difficult or acting like they're really confused, that kind of stuff, you can be like, so how do you feel right now? Is everything okay? That kind of thing. That's how you are alerted that they might not be doing so well emotionally, because they're not going to volunteer that information. Okay, sometimes because they see emotions as something to fix, it might seem like they don't care. Here's the thing though, they do care. They care too much, almost. Okay? It's just that they don't know how to handle it. They have no clue. They're totally out of their element. They don't have any intelligence about it. They don't want to embarrass themselves. Just think about any subject that you think is really, really, really complicated, like, I don't know, astrophysics, or just whatever is complicated for you, right? And imagine your person asking you to give a speech to them about that topic for the next hour, right? That's as terrified as they would feel talking to you about your emotions, or talking to anybody about their emotions. Theirs or the other person's, okay? They just don't relate that way, okay? And it's not that they can't, it's just that they don't think to, and they need practice doing it. So do understand that it's not that they don't care, it's just that they feel put on the spot, and they know they're absolutely dumb when it comes to this stuff, and they know they're going to embarrass themselves. They're the kind of person that if like, for example, if this is a person you have a crush on and you haven't told them, or you haven't done something very direct to let them know, they have no clue how you feel about them. I mean, if you have not been very clear with them, they just don't like to assume that kind of stuff because they know they're bad at it, you know? So even if they follow their instincts and say, like, okay, this person is ticking all the boxes for somebody who might have a crush, but, you know, they'll intellectualize it and they'll be like, no, that couldn't be, right? So just do understand they do care, they just don't know how to express that they care, okay? In a way that's emotional, okay? Interference. So here's the deal. There have been times in your person's life when they were smaller where other people interfered with their emotional processing, okay? This would be the kind of a classic example of a boy who might be very sensitive being told, you know, oh, stop your crying, you don't act like, you know, you're a man, come on, you know, that kind of thing. It's like that kind of like cultural pressure to be a certain way, and it just ended up becoming this thing where problems, you know, emotions were problems, therefore it was something to fix, it wasn't something to process, it wasn't something to feel, it was there was something wrong. As soon as they start feeling anything, it's something wrong. You will also notice that this person, when they start liking you, this is the person that will withdraw a little bit before they come forward. It's because they get scared when they're experiencing emotions, because they're like, what's the problem? And I've got to say, I'm this kind of person. When I start falling in love with somebody, I think there's something wrong with me first. Because for me, falling in love, it's like, oh, there's just like, I'm constantly thinking about this person. All of a sudden, I want to stay up all night talking to them. I just am constantly feeling so excited and everything. And I'm the kind of person that if I'm not sleeping, that means that there's something wrong with me mentally. Like maybe my insomnia is really bad, or like, why would I want to stay up late knowing that I just can't function the next day after I stay up late, that kind of thing. Or if I start feeling excited, I might confuse that for anxiety and be like, gosh, there must be something that's bothering me. You know, I'm not sleeping, I feel really like keyed up, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, I can't stop thinking about this one person. Why? And then I might even turn that into, maybe I don't like the person. I don't know why I don't like this person. I mean, it's almost like I'll consider everything else except that maybe I'm in love with this person, maybe I'm falling into love. Those people exist, and I'm one of those people, okay? As weird as it might, they don't just exist in movies. They really do exist, and I'm one of them, and it looks like your person's one of them too, all right? So yeah, when we say the waiting game here, you know, we're talking about your person has to go through a lot of contemplation before they realize how they're feeling. They have not been socialized. The Hierophant, you know, sometimes the Hierophant is thought of as a teacher, right? Sometimes the Hierophant is shown as maybe someone performing a religious ceremony, right? So the Hierophant in this case, we've got tradition here. The Hierophant is showing that this person hasn't been socialized into learning these kinds of social cues, these kinds of emotional cues, and because of it, that's why we've got so many major arcana cards coming up, because this has been a major problem for your person. You could be the one solving this for them by helping them feel their feelings. Just ask them, how are you feeling? You know, how do you feel about this thing that happens? Just by using the word feel instead of think, like instead of saying, what do you think about this? You're like, how do you feel about this? You know, or when they're telling you something about something that happened to them, just ask them, how did that make you feel? You know, that kind of stuff. Or you might even want to mirror them by, as they're telling you a story about how they went through something, you might want to be like, ooh, that must have been scary, or oh my goodness, that must have been so exciting. You know, it might seem like you're reacting on a kindergarten level. That's okay, because they are on a kindergarten level when it comes to this kind of stuff, okay? So you've got the Hermit energy, and this is just talking about really trying to be authentic to themselves. They don't look outward for any kind of help in navigating their lives. They're more likely to take their own counsel. They're more likely to be an introvert than an extrovert, which does definitely, you know, it fits this picture. This person's more likely to basically go inwards to try to figure out, like if they're stuck on something, right? They don't know which way to go. They would be the kind of person that would ask themselves that and obsess over it and analyze it and that kind of stuff instead of asking other people. They don't like to ask for help. It's funny, they like to fix people. They like to fix things, but they don't like to ask for help. So you will notice that they do have a lot of independence. They do withdraw a lot, but a very good positivity to this, which is a great silver lining to this whole situation, is that they're also very introspective. They are capable of analyzing very, very deeply about something. So if you are able to bring their awareness of this to them, then they will be able to process it. You've just got to kind of prompt it. Okay, so yeah, we talked about the Hierophant and how they just haven't learned it. That's it, you know. And with the awareness here, I feel like there's a part of them that knows that this is weird. Like they know that they're not like other people. So this is probably something they're already aware of and they're working on fixing, right? But they don't want other people to know. They want people to think that because maybe this person's probably very smart in other areas since they're so cerebral. I'm getting a lot of cerebral energy. That they probably don't want people to realize that, it's just a sham. They're really, really dumb. They can't even figure out what somebody means when they say, you know, certain social things like, hi, how are you doing? They're like, what do I say? You know, or somebody puts out their hand. It's like, how do they read that? You know, like, what does that mean? You know, they don't think handshake first. You know, they think that maybe the person's trying to take something from them, maybe, or something like that. They just are terrible at social cues. All right. They're aware of the fact that this is a struggle for them, but they don't want other people to know. So basically treat them like they already know, you know, and that's like the best thing you can do. You know, instead of saying like, and you probably didn't even have feelings about that, huh? You know, I mean, I'm not saying that you're a mean person like that, but, you know, instead of like maybe joking that they don't have feelings or something like that, you might want to say something like, oh, but you must have felt so, and then, you know, mention, you know, a feeling that you think they might have felt, and they might be like, no, I actually don't remember how I felt, or, you know, they might say something like that, but just know that as long as you're inserting the emotional spectrum with them, and they'll start picking up on that, and they'll start learning how to process their emotions, because they want to. This person is definitely somebody who wants to learn, and, again, let them know up front before you say anything about your emotional life that this isn't a problem. This isn't something you want them to fix. This is just a feeling that you're feeling that you want to share with them. And that you just want to share with them that you really like them, or you just want to share with them that you were unhappy when they came home late. But that's okay. It's just, you just want them to know that you'd like them to be home on time. You know, and that kind of thing. You know, that's the kind of way that you kind of work around this. All right. Okay. So, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed your reading. And if you did, go ahead and let me know by liking. If you haven't subscribed already, you should probably subscribe. My next video is going to be tomorrow. And, you know, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. And I will see you tomorrow with our next reading.